Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Alaska for you. That's Einstein. He's a Halloween commander. Not Boger the blacksmith. That's the guys. But we're continuing our 4th of July weekend coverage of the legendary tier American cruisers. Today's edition Alaska, of course. Warrior's Path, capture the base. And here we're going to see the versatility of the Alaska. It's kind of got the durability of a battleship, the mean punching power of a battleship, but kind of a cruiser's mobility. And you got a radar on it as well, which we'll get involved with in this game. So pretty good match here. We're on the eastern flank. Now, without there being a domination mode capture points over here, you never really know if red or blue, for that matter, are going to commit assets to this eastern side here. I always want to go over here and check it. And then if nothing comes over here, then we can get in the middle and start pressuring the red team from that direction. But we will wind up having a fight over here. A couple of battleships trailing us over here. And ideally, we'd like to get them in firing position as quickly as possible. Because if I pop around here and there's a few enemy ships, and I'm kind of fighting them 1v3, then that's a huge numerical disadvantage. We're not going to have any destroyer spotting over here. You can see the one that spawned in the middle is going to the west, which is fine. I'm not too concerned about the spotting issues. If we determine there's a destroyer over here, then we can maybe radar him and attack him that way. But otherwise, I'm not concerned about getting close to cruisers, battleships in this thing. As long as you're pointing your nose towards what's shooting at you, Alaska is very hard to damage. So it's one of the more durable ships in my view in that regard. Grober was coming around broadside. We got a mines that was angled in, so we're going to take the shot first at the Grober just to see if we get any decent shot or damage. And I'm about 7,000, not too bad here. Mines charging in. Someone already gave him a hearty whack. He's showing the broadside. Oh, God. Not a good idea with the Alaska close range here. We go fire at the front turrets. And boom! There he goes with a Higon Death Strike to start the match. And the Baltimore is probably seeing that like, okay, let's not get too close to that thing. Probably a good idea. So he's continuing to kite away. We'll take some shots on him here. But we're trying to back up, just create a little bit more space. I don't want the Grober to get into secondary range unnecessarily. And just compound damage with it using the secondary guns. So we're preparing to perhaps disengage. We could stop shooting at this point in time and drop spot if need be. We're not taking too much damage, kind of playing with the throttle going forward and backward, throwing off their aim a little bit, and we're still securing, juicy 10k salvos like the last one on the Grober. Finally, we got one of the battleships moving in front of us to try and take some damage, and those two ships in their zest to get away from us wind up hitting each other and slowing each other down. So at this point in time, I'm thinking, okay, we got 3 or 4 ships stacked directly on top of each other over here. That's not good strategy, so I'm going to back up just a little bit, and then I'm going to head basically right in the center of the map. If these guys want to go, the 2 ships to the north that we're fighting, if they want to go back towards their base, we'll have crossfire shots there. We also have a battleship heading this way from their base. I'd like to hit him in the side as well, so that's the current thinking. But we can see one red destroyer currently spotted on the map there. We're, of course, checking the map here, trying to figure out where they are at this point in time. Not currently spotted, but now we see the enemy is actually on the base. So, plans change. We're going to go ahead and ping the base a few times just to alert our teammates to the fact that there is a problem here. And this is going to be actually fairly remarkable. Almost, basically the entire team turns around to defend the base, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I mean, usually my advice always is once you figure out how important defending the base is and capture the base mode, once you've internalized that into your own thinking, then it becomes your responsibility to defend the base in most cases, just because usually your team won't care. They don't pay attention, since they lose the majority of their games anyways. They're not, it doesn't matter if they win or lose, they're just there to sail around and shoot things. So, we're heading back. I'm going to change my heading a little bit once in a while. Now I'm keeping an eye on the spotted icon because we do have Ingenious on this build, and it's going to tell us when we're being targeted by a ship that has us actively selected, and there's the number 1, targeted with the main guns. Okay, now this is a tactic you can use as cruisers when you're fighting destroyers. if you have Ingenious, if they switch to torpedo view, that one will drop off, and then once it pops back on, you can assume they launched the torps and then have brought up their guns again. So really savvy destroyer players might just keep it in torpedo mode the whole time, just so to kind of counter that awareness that you can get by using the Ingenious perk. Akatsuki does get us with one torp there, kind of a nasty chunk of damage. We got him radar, team's shooting at him, doing a great job here. And now we know that he's launched his torps. It's going to be a while, so we can just charge right in. Our sonar is about to run out, but now we've kind of flushed him out of the cloud. He's shooting back. That means he's going to be permanently spotted. Catching on fire doesn't help his concealment at all either. And we'll just go ahead and quickly zap this Akatsuki into oblivion. So good job from the team there. Look at all of them kind of coming back to defend the base, shooting the destroyers. Excellent. Very rarely would you ever see quality play like that in Legendary tier. This is kind of a unique situation, though, provided an interesting gameplay aspect where we basically had great map control. We controlled basically, the equator and had red kind of push back. You can see all the red grayed out ships that are way up north, basically on the line that their base is on, which means blue was really good. But since we all kind of came back, I'm expecting red, if they're paying attention, to be charging down. Like if I'm the 3 ships on the northeast corner, I'd be basically approaching the equator at this point in time, the midline of the game. And then same thing with the 3 or 4 red ships in the northwest. They should have swarmed that one battleship that was down there, but they really slow played it there. I think this eastern flank, they're going to do a little bit better job, though, reclaiming some territory. You model backing up. What's going on here? You can't shoot anything. Why would you back up? That makes no sense to me. I guess he's waiting for reinforcements or something. I'd love to shoot the Minotaur. I always would like to shoot a Minotaur, but unfortunately it's not in range. So now we're kind of getting back into that spot that I was planning on redeploying to in the first place. Once we kind of decided we're not going to sit on the eastern, whatever that is, G line or whatever, with the 3 or 4 ships that were stacked on top of each other. Now I was just trying to get in over here and get a middle position in the board, and you can see there's the Grover actually moving forward like we were advocating. So they are doing a good job reclaiming territory on the east here. I think the Grover, and I think he's actually the only ship posted in over here. However, we do notice on the map now that we do have good access to his sides, and we also have a covered firing position here where we can shoot, and because of the 2 outcroppings of those islands, or whatever you want to call them, peninsulas, he won't be able to see us. Okay, so we're just going to be taking shots here and try and whittle him down, help our team take this Grover off the board as quickly as possible. It can be kind of difficult to deal with when it's pointed directly at you, but because we have this nice crossfire position, we're able to get some hardy whacks on him. Baltimore pops up there. That's a ship I'd love to shoot in the side as well, plus it's a radar. And we have the game's sole remaining destroyer at this point in time, so very valuable that radar is indeed. It's always valuable, of course, but, in this situation, worth getting off the board if possible. So I think he probably has Ingenious. It seems like he's reacting to the fact that he's being targeted by me for a little while. It's possible since he was approaching his cap, which is being captured by us. He was just trying to juke any potential torpedo launch as well. And then here on the map, we see another contender pop up, Georgia. Close range. We have the nose in on him, checking his guns. He's not pointing over here, so he was not really paying attention to us. We're paying attention to him, though, and wham! There we go. 21,000 juicy shot to the side with 4 landing shots on him, and he's going down. All right, so that's kind of why we want to get in these central positions whenever possible. We got access to a lot of sides when we do so, and flanking shots. Grover, we were trying to get him on the side as well, but he goes down by the team. And here's the Baltimore. And all of a sudden, we got a pretty commanding size lead on the game here. It's going to be a little bit tighter as the game winds up than it is currently, but what we're trying to do now, just push into the base and push these ships back. Okay, there's a Conqueror, there's a Vlad up to the northwest, and then this Baltimore. We want to shove them off by kind of scaring them or imposing our will on them, and that would allow our destroyer room to get on the base and either capture it or at least stop their scoring, which gives us tiebreakers, okay? Because once we get on the base and sit on it for a significant amount of time, which is the intended play here, then even if they tie it up in terms of ships, same type of ship sank and everything, we're still going to have the background tiebreaker, which forces them into a play where they have to sink more ships and more valuable ships on our team than we've done on their team, which is already going to be difficult because we've dwindled them down to 3 ships. So getting on the base and capture the base mode, it's it's fine if you can capture the base, but it's more of a scoring play is how you really want to be viewing it in most cases, just kind of adjusting the tiebreaker, who's in control of the background scoring. Okay, so Baltimore's been doing a fairly good job juking. We're trying to adjust our aim to anticipate what he's actually doing. Now we're getting some decent shots. We could go ahead and switch over to HG if possible, or if we wanted to, but I'm also saying it's possible to get some shots on these battleships that are approaching. I would like to get on the base as well, pressure the base further, and give them something to reset that's not the destroyer if possible, or if they want to reset, but we're still just kind of trying to support this destroyer mainly. So Conqueror moving in first. He's the one in our firing range to the north west, and then the Vlad way out of position. Those guys need to be coming back and charging us. But if you're red at this point in time, you kind of have to be thinking to myself, okay, they've been on the base. They were on our base for, 30 seconds to a minute. So they do have some points built in there to work with. But the longer we're on the base here, the more limited their wind conditions are. And eventually they'll just be forced to have to sink nearly our entire team to catch up on the score. So we're trying to prevent these guys from doing so. Angled primarily at these battleships. Yeah, if you look on the map, our broadside is a little exposed to that Baltimore. If you decided he wanted to switch to AP and start firing on us, we would have to adjust and try and deal with him first. You could probably say maybe I should be killing the Baltimore, but the Baltimore is kind of fleeing and creating more space for us, whereas the battleships are kind of pushing in here. And the Baltimore is low enough, I'm hoping my team will just go ahead and take him off. But Conqueror, he's sailing away. It's just kind of a misplay at this point in time. You got 3.5 minutes left, roughly. And yeah, you're got a lot of ships shooting at you, but I always say there's things that maybe you don't want to do in this game, but you're kind of forced to have to do based on the circumstances. All right, clearly the Conqueror doesn't want to push into us here. He'd be doing so, but it's not really his luxury to have that decision anymore. They need to get in here, close the gap, do a lot of damage, and kill a lot of ships very quickly. Baltimore needs to figure out a way to kill the Shima. I don't know if he's got the radar still or not, but the longer that Shima's alive, the more difficulty that Red would have in the long run, just because, once the Baltimore's dead, the Shima can go nuke those battleships at any instance, and there's nothing they could really do about it. So tried to get rid of the Baltimore there, just barely missed him. Double fire from the Conqueror, so all right, we're going to back up. Don't want all 3 ships to be able to shoot us, plus we got our broadside exposed to those guys. And if the Conch switches over to AP, that could be an early exit to the game very rapidly. So Vlad flashed a little bit aside. We're trying to capitalize there. Not a huge scoring hit on that, but backing up, trying to keep ourselves safe from the Conqueror, who's trying to relight us on fire. Since we just used our damage control, he does get 1 on the nose of the ship, and there's nothing we can do about that for the full duration of the fire. So we're just going to have to let that one burn, continue to back up, and then the Conqueror, his positioning for the rest of the game kind of baffles me. He's trying to go through the center of these islands, I think, to protect himself, but he's going to be in a situation where he doesn't have shots for a majority of this situation. And once again, if you look at the game scenario, we're up 200 now, so they have to basically sink 2 battleships plus something else, and now the Baltimore's dead, so now they're really forced to basically sink 3 ships plus 3 of those battleships. They'd be kind of close to being, I think they'd be in the lead briefly, but we'll catch up by the time the game ends due to the accrual of points going towards blue but none towards red. So I mean, neither of these guys are real. I mean, the Conqueror just got the Richie with a fire, I guess, but more aggression is needed here, recognizing the situation, what needs to be done, and then pursuing that goal. So Vlad, we were seeing we weren't getting any AP damage on him. Here we go ahead and switch over to the HE. I'll just go ahead and be content with getting 2,000-3,000 damage per salvo, and maybe hopefully getting a fire. But at this point in time, it looks like we're either going to capture the base. Oh, there he gets a reset. So capturing the base probably not going to happen at this point in time, but as long as the whole team isn't wiped out rapidly, should be able to go ahead and win on score here. So just getting a couple more shots in. Alaska, for a long time I thought it was the strongest ship in the game. I don't know. There's some contenders. I think it's still definitely in the conversation. It did get slight nerf 2-3 updates ago, but it's still quite strong. So out of the 3 American cruisers at legendary tier, some people would probably say this is the strongest. I think the current thing is probably going to be the Des Moines, which we'll be seeing tomorrow. And then WoWsL quite strong as well. So can't go wrong with the Alaska. Hope you guys did enjoy that video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships going free all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.